Talk it out, talking it through. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brianne. You know, if you've had an issue in a relationship of any kind, it could be a work-related issue, it could be a personal issue, a personal relationship, a family issue, a spouse issue, a romantic issue, it could be a social issue, it could be any kind of issue. Find a way to talk it out, and find a way to talk it out reasonably. And listen, learn to listen to the other person and what they have to say, and reflect. Just don't do all the talking, or just don't do all the listening. There's an exchange there. When you're working out an issue of any kind, there needs to be an exchange of information and an exchange of listening and absorbing what the other person says to make sure that it has merit. Sometimes people will give you their side of the story and you didn't even realize that's what they were thinking. And sometimes they can be right, and sometimes they can be wrong. And sometimes nobody's wrong. And sometimes when we sit down with someone and we talk through things, we can work through things. But when we're unwilling to talk about it, or even brush it under the rug, so to speak, often those problems don't go away. And they can even get bigger. And I believe in not being nitpicky and petty and talking about every little problem that comes about. We're not talking about that. But if it's a significant issue, everyone's entitled to feeling what they feel. And so people, if they want the relationship to continue, at least in a healthy way, they've got to sit down and talk about it. They've got to understand it. They've got to come to terms with what's going on. And that requires an exchange of information on both sides. Not just one person does the talking, and not just one person does the listening. It's both people, or the people that are involved in this situation. And it's important to listen with your heart as well as with your mind. If you only listen with your mind, you're not going to hear the feelings behind what's being said. And if you only listen with your heart, often your decisions and your choices are going to only go in that direction. So there needs to be a balance between the mind and the heart to make sure that you're making right decisions within that relationship. Relationships of any kind can go through issues. All kinds of relationships. Some relationships we have are far closer than other relationships. And yet, even a more shallow, superficial relationship sometimes needs worked out, like at work. You know, if two coworkers are not getting along, they may need to talk through it. And there may need to be a third party, like the boss there, to talk through it with them. But often when people sit down and they're reasonable, and they reason with each other, they can work through things. Now, if you have one person reasonable and the other person not reasonable, often things will come to a standstill. So we're talking about two reasonable people. And so what do you do if you're with somebody who's not reasonable, who doesn't care? Then you probably have another issue there, and you have to decide what to do from there. Do you stay with the job, or do you go find another job, or do you go to a different boss to find out what they can do? You have to look at the whole situation. But often it doesn't have to get to that point. Often people can sit down together reasonably and talk things through. And often we'll discover things in a conversation that we weren't not even aware of. And we both grow through relationships. We both grow. Even through the hard and difficult times in a relationship, we grow as a person. So the relationship can grow and flourish again, but you need to talk about the issues in a right way so that relationship can get back on track and be great again. Okay, from my house to yours, may God bless you. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.